As a beginner saxophone player, it's going to take you at least 2 years or more before you start to sound good on your horn. Have you ever wondered why you are not able to stay motivated beyond a day, a few days, a week, a month even? And even though you have laid your plans, you've set your goals, maybe you have some New Year's resolutions, after a while you find yourself back in the same situation where you were before. The reason is you may have been using the wrong type of motivation, and there are also opportunity costs involved. There are two types of motivation.
The first one is external motivation, and that has to do with negative consequences and punishment. You do something in order to avoid pain. You turn up to work on time because you don't want to lose your job.
We need a working definition of motivation, and I'd like to use one by Peter Hollins. And according to him, when he talks about motivation, things that really matter to you, things you hold near and dear to your heart, things that make you actually want to work hard toward your goal, things that not only drive you but discourage you from giving up. External motivators is the use of sources besides yourself. These are people and circumstances that push you into action. While external motivators are about punishment, avoiding pain, and negative consequences, you can use them to your advantage. The only positive external motivator is self-bribery, and we'll get to that in a moment. The first type of external motivator is that of having an accountability partner, somebody who will chide you on, somebody who will encourage you when you are down and out, somebody who will tell you that you are bullshit yourself. The negative side of having one accountability partner is that you're dependent on a single person to help you to stay motivated. What is more advantageous is that you find an accountability group. You are held accountable by not only one person to keep you accountable as you seek to strive toward your goal. Another external motivator that you can use to stay motivated is by giving somebody some money, and they're not allowed to give it back to you until you've followed through on your goal or on your plan or what you're working on, and they'll give it to charity or you'll just not get it back. But it has to be more than $5 or $10. It has to hurt for it to make sense for you to want to follow through on doing what you have set out to do and continue to stay motivated. Now, you can take the monetary investment to another level because none of us like to lose money. Hiring a trainer, hiring a coach, hiring a mentor, that way you are getting double for your money because you'll have somebody who you are paying to hold you accountable. Have you noticed that you have watched hundreds, if not thousands, of YouTube videos to stay motivated, or that speaks to motivation or speak to you working on the skill that you're working on, but you rarely ever take any action? 99.99% of the time, you watch the videos for entertainment and education.
Victims love entertainment. Victors adore education.
You get the entertainment, but the education part is all missing because you've never gone afterwards to put into action what you've watched because there's no skin in the game. The only thing that you invested at the time was your time. If you think about all the best and finest athletes, musicians, business moguls, do you think they got to where they are because they did it by themselves? And that's why I don't believe in the idea of a self-made man or a self-made millionaire. There's no such thing as a self-made millionaire. You can't be a millionaire by doing things all by yourself. You'll need a network of people to do that. If you sell products, you need a sales team. And even if you're selling it by yourself and using software, you need people to buy from you. Every athlete, artist, somebody who you know who's in this space, who is famous or they are at the top of their game, they have had mentors, they have had coaches. If you knew what was wrong with your own heart, you wouldn't need a cardiologist, right? It's the same thing as it relates to you working on your craft as a musician, as an artist. And one of the problems, essentially, when you watch YouTube videos, your brain perceives it as you taking action. But what happens really, you get a dopamine release and you feel as though you are making progress when you have not really done anything more than watch a video for 5 minutes and you feel motivated, which it's just scratching the itch. And that's why external motivators may not be working for you because the consequences are are not life-threatening. You won't die if you don't practice. What will happen is just that you'll not be a good musician. So we talked about self-bribery earlier, and that is one positive external motivator where you promise yourself that you're going to take that trip. Once you follow through on your plans of working on your skills and getting to another level, you're going to take that trip to the Caribbean or wherever you want to go, or buy yourself that thing that you have wanted for all your life. So you could bribe yourself to keep yourself motivated. The second type of motivation is internal motivation. Internal motivators keep you on track because there are no negative consequences that are driving you. You are being driven by what is inside, the outcome that you are going to get. So think of it like a donkey following after a carrot. The carrot is the internal motivator, while the whip or the stick is the external motivator. At the end of the stick, there is punishment or something negative. Following the carrot and getting that carrot means that the donkey would be fulfilled by an internal drive, an internal desire. And that's where your internal motivators will keep you on track, because you want this thing so bad because it's going to bring you fulfillment, as opposed to you just doing it because there are some negative consequences to face. And there are some questions that you can ask yourself. What is in it for me? How will it benefit me? How will it benefit my family? How will it benefit others? In that later on, you may be a role model to somebody else because you are taking this road, this path to become better at your craft. How will you feel? What kind of emotions will you experience? How will it impact you? Those are what you're after when you are using internal motivators. It's more about what is going to happen at the end of what you are seeking to do, and those are what will drive you to stay motivated and to keep on the path of motivation. And then there are opportunity costs involved. You have to ask yourself the question, am I willing to pay the price for what I am seeking to do?
Nothing works for those who don't do the work. Let's talk. Or do.
If you think about it, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Even if a farmer gets some free seedlings, he knows that he'll have to invest time to ensure that the plants come alive. He'll need to fertilize, he'll need to water, he'll need to nurture, and when the plants grow and they bear fruit, he will need to harvest, and then he'll need to find a way to sell his products. Same thing with music. You are seeking to learn. There is a time investment and there is a cost investment. You may not stay motivated because of these opportunity costs involved. As a beginner saxophone player, it's going to take you at least 2 years or more before you start to sound good on your horn. And are you willing to pay that price? Also, there is money to be invested. You need to either rent a horn or buy one, and either ways you'll need to maintain the horn. Sometimes I find it very interesting when I hear beginners or I hear some saxophone players complain about a reed for $30 or more is expensive. When you think about it, one Ligier reed is going to last you for at least 6 months. If you divide that by 180 days, you realize that it's pennies you're paying for a single reed. And your internal motivators need to be stronger than the opportunity costs that will set that aside, so that you will push yourself through in hiring that coach, or investing in the horn, or investing in learning to play that instrument that you are seeking to master. If it is that the opportunity cost is too expensive, then you make a smaller sacrifice. If it is that you can't find an hour every day to practice, maybe you can find 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and you replicating that and forming a loop, forming a habit of practicing. The practice in and of itself is serving as an internal driver that will keep you motivated, and you fall into a habit loop of practice. The practice is fueling your motivation, and the motivation is fueling your practice. Bear in mind, you need to keep your motivators in mind, and that's why I always encourage, keep your horn on a stand in a safe place where you can always see. That stimuli will encourage you to pick up the horn rather than putting it in its case and shoving it underneath your bed.